What if the smiles, the lingering glances, and the quiet moments we thought were just part of the script, weren't acting at all? Hyun and Lee Se-hee. The truth behind their off-screen chemistry finally comes to light. The whispers have turned into questions. And the questions into a story too irresistible to ignore. Let's uncover the truth together. Join Red Carpet Revealed as we dive in right now. The night air around the drama set was still, almost heavy, with a kind of silence that makes every breath feel louder than it should. The crew was winding down from an intense emotional scene, cables coiled, lights dimmed. The director giving final notes in a quiet voice. While everyone else's attention shifted to their next task, two figures remained locked in a gaze that didn't belong to the script. Hyun stood with his coat draped casually over his arm, his eyes fixed on Lee Se-hee as though she had just told him something only the two of them could understand. She smiled faintly, not the wide, camera-ready smile that fans had seen countless times, but something smaller, softer, like a secret slipping between them. No one said anything, but more than one pair of eyes noticed. Was it just the residue of the scene they had been filming, a lover's quarrel resolved with quiet reconciliation? Or was something far deeper playing out behind their lens? For weeks, whispers had been making their way through the tightly knit world of drama production. From the wardrobe assistant to the sound technician, there were murmurs about a kind of warmth between Hyun and Lee Se-hee that couldn't be explained by acting alone. On screen, their chemistry was undeniable. But it was the off-screen moments, the ones not crafted by a writer's pen, that people kept talking about. In the beginning, it was easy to dismiss the chatter. After all, co-stars often become close during months of filming. The industry is full of stories about fleeting bonds formed under hot lights and long hours, only to dissolve once the cameras stop rolling. But this was different. The way he waited for her after a take, the way she seemed to glance at him before answering a question in interviews, the way they both appeared to occupy the same invisible space even when others crowded around, these weren't just coincidences. They were patterns. And patterns tend to mean something. The first time fans picked up on it was during a live-streamed press event early in the drama's promotion. Seated side by side, Hyun leaned in as Lee Se-hee spoke, his eyes fixed on her face in a way that seemed to erase everyone else in the room. At one point, she stumbled slightly over her words, laughing in self-deprecation. And without missing a beat, he murmured something that made her laugh again, the kind of laugh that melts into silence because it feels too personal to share with an audience. The moment lasted only a few seconds. Fans clipped it, slowed it down, and replayed it across social media. The comments ranged from the playful, "Hyun, your heart is showing," to the serious, "This isn't acting. This is real." Behind the scenes, the staff had their own observations. A lighting crew member recalled seeing them during a break on a rainy afternoon shoot, while most of the cast and crew huddled under tents or made a dash for the trailers. Hyun and Lee Se-hee stood just beyond the cover, sharing an umbrella. It wasn't the closeness under the umbrella that caught attention, though that alone could have fueled gossip for days. It was the way they seemed utterly unaware of anyone else. They weren't talking about the scene or the weather, the crew member said later in a hushed voice. They were talking about something else. Something personal. By the middle of the filming schedule, online fan communities were in overdrive. Edits compiling every glance, every brush of hands. Lingering smile flooded timelines. Theories bloomed. Maybe they had known each other before. They were secretly dating. Maybe this was a slow-burn love story unfolding in real life. Both actors' agencies issued brief statements dismissing the rumors as speculation and emphasizing their professional working relationship. But if the goal was to quell the public's curiosity, it failed spectacularly. The denials only made fans more certain there was truth to the whispers. One evening, during a particularly late shoot in an old district of the city, the chemistry became impossible to ignore. The script called for a quiet walk down a dimly lit street, their characters having just reconciled after a fight. The director wanted natural warmth, nothing too forced. The cameras rolled. They walked side by side. The energy shifted. He reached for her hand, gently, almost hesitantly, and she responded without a flicker of surprise. Fingers curling into his like they belonged there. When the director called cut, neither of them moved to let go immediately. They stood there, still holding hands under the pale street lamp glow, as if the scene had never ended. Someone on set later swore that it was the moment the line between acting and reality blurred completely. The rest of the night, the atmosphere felt different. Woo worked quietly, sensing something unspoken in the air. Hyun Woo seemed lighter, smiling more between takes. And Lee Se-hee had a softness in her expression that hadn't been there before. No one asked questions. In this industry, unspoken truths are sometimes more powerful than confirmed facts. But when the last camera was packed away and the streets emptied, those who had witnessed it carried the memory with them like a secret they weren't sure they should share. And so, the whispers grew louder. Days after that late night shit unfolded like the slow turning of a page in a novel everyone had been dying to read. Word of what had happened, or rather, people thought they had seen, began to ripple beyond the walls of the set. It started with whispers in industry hallways, then turned into speculative messages among drama reporters, and finally burst into the full glare of public curiosity when a grainy, zoomed-in photo appeared online. It was nothing more than a snapshot of Hyun Woo and Lee Se-hee leaving the set together. But the angle caught his hand hovering just at the small of her back, guiding her through the crowd. The image was blurry. It spoke volumes. By morning, every entertainment blog worth its name had picked up the story. Headlines screamed with thinly veiled excitement, co-star comfort or something more. Drama's lead pair spotted sharing late-night walk. The agencies moved quickly. Near identical statements. They are close colleagues. Both press releases insisted. Sharing mutual respect and friendship during filming. But the language was so carefully polished, so utterly devoid of warmth, that fans immediately tore it apart. On forums, one comment captured the mood perfectly: if they were really just friends, they'd laugh about this. But they're not laughing, they're hiding. Frenzy only grew when a short behind-the-scenes video from that same night leaked. It wasn't scandalous, no kiss, no dramatic embrace, but it was telling. Between takes, the camera had caught them off guard, standing close, softly. At one point, Lee Se-hee reached out to adjust the lapel of Hyun Woo's coat, her fingers brushing his chest in a way that was gentle, unhurried. He didn't flinch or pull away. Instead, he smiled, the slow, unguarded kind of smile that makes the world feel momentarily smaller. Fans reacted with a kind of passion reserved for ships they had only dreamed of seeing sail in real life. Edits flooded TikTok, pairing their moments with love songs. On Twitter, hashtags like Hyun Se-hee and chemistry that can't be faked trended for days. In fan cafes, long posts dissected their body language frame by frame, pointing out every micro-expression as if decoding a secret language. While some in the industry rolled their eyes at the obsession, who had worked alongside them didn't dismiss it so easily. One supporting actor, speaking anonymously to a lifestyle magazine, admitted, "I've been on a lot of sets. I can always tell when something real is happening, when the connection doesn't switch off when the cameras do. With these two, there's something. Don't need to talk much. They just look at each other, and it's like they were in their own world." As the drama neared its finale, media interest reached fever pitch. Invitations for joint interviews poured in, though their teams carefully filtered them. The ones they did accept were tightly managed affairs, scripted questions and rehearsed answers. Still, even within those constraints, there were moments that slipped through the cracks. One televised interview, when asked what he admired most about his co-star, Hyun Woo hesitated for just a fraction of a second before saying, "She listens, really listens." Is a simple answer. But the way he looked at her as he said it, a steady, unblinking gaze, made the host raise an eyebrow and the fans squeal in delight. Lee Se-hee, in a separate radio appearance, was asked about her ideal type. She gave the standard, vague response: kind, sincere, someone who makes her feel at ease, but then added with a small laugh, "It's nice when you can be yourself without pretending." The host teased her about describing someone very familiar. She deflected with practiced charm, but the clip went viral anyway. Even more speculation. The real turning point came at the drama's wrap party, held in a quiet restaurant away from the public eye. Fans were officially discouraged, but in the age of the internet, nothing stays hidden for long. A short video emerged showing the cast gathered around a cake, and clapping. In the corner, Hyun Woo leaned down to say something to Lee Se-hee. She laughed, not the polite, public kind, but the uncontrolled, head thrown back kind, and in that moment, he reached out, almost instinctively. A strand of hair away from her face. It was a tiny, intimate gesture. For those who had been watching closely, it was confirmation enough. Weeks later, with the drama still dominating ratings and their names constantly paired in headlines, Hyun agreed to a long-form interview with a respected culture magazine. Most of it focused on his career, approach to acting, and his upcoming projects. Toward the end, the interviewer asked, as gently as possible, about the rumors. He didn't deny them outright. Instead, he paused, smiled slightly, and said, "When you spend so much time with someone, and you see them at their best and their worst, you can't help but feel a kind of connection. With Sehee, it's a deep bond. We understand each other in a way that's rare." Lee Sehee, for her part, a matter in her own way during a beauty magazine shoot. Journalist brought up their on-screen romance. She smiled and replied, "Acting can be magic, but sometimes the magic stays even when the cameras stop. He's someone I feel safe with." She didn't elaborate, and the interviewer didn't push, but the words lingered in print, making a fresh wave of discussions. Their most recent public appearance together did little to quiet the talk. At an awards ceremony where their drama received top honors, they walked the red carpet separately, as was expected, but once inside, cameras caught them sharing a brief conversation during a commercial break. It wasn't what they said, no one could hear, but how they looked at each other. It was the kind of look that doesn't need explaining, because it speaks louder than any official statement ever could. And so, the truth, whatever form it takes, rests somewhere between the lines of denials and the warmth of their glances. Perhaps they are more than friends. Perhaps they aren't. But one thing is certain, their connection, born of art or reality, is undeniable. In the way he waits for her to finish speaking before he does. In the way she laughs more easily when he's nearby. In the invisible thread that seems to pull them together even in a room full of people. For the fans, it may not matter whether the truth is ever officially confirmed. They've seen enough, felt enough. Believe in the story for themselves. And perhaps that's the most enduring kind of romance, one that lives not just on screen, but in the spaces between what's said and what's silently understood. Some love stories are scripted, neatly tied up with a final scene and a rolling credit. Others, like this one, are written in moments stolen from the edge of the spotlight, unfolding quietly, waiting for the world to catch up. Thank you so much for reading. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Hyun and Lee Sehee's unforgettable off-screen chemistry, don't forget to like this article, subscribe for more exclusive stories, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Do you think their connection is real? Your voice matters, and we love hearing from you.